Finally, time for our main event of the evening. UFC 269, Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. Crazy to think that the experience between these two guys, they never fought each other at lightweight or in their time at featherweight. And really, I went down through the list. These guys have a combined 29 bonuses between them. It's absolutely insane. They are bonus machines. And it's crazy because not that long ago, Charles Oliveira was beating guys like Jared Gordon and Nick Lentz, you know, the coach at Sanford MMA, and all of a sudden he's going out there, he's beating Tony Ferguson to a pulp, he's knocking out Michael Chandler, like crazy stuff, and a crazy progression evolution from the Oliveira that we knew was kind of a 50-50 fun fighter at 145 when he came in, to this lightweight mauler who's kind of teased a return to featherweight, but we all hope that that doesn't happen. He's taking on one of the greatest lightweights that lives on this planet. You have Louisiana's own Dustin Poirier. The guy fights like his hot sauce. It's a lot of fun to watch.
It's in your face.
And sometimes I shoot it on the camera. Not really, but yikes, man. Don't do hot sauce shots, especially his dares. But when I watch Dustin Poirier
You're the only person who ever brings it up. You're like, hey guys, you want to see me shoot hot sauce? Don't complain about it.
I'm a wild man. Let's go! But really, when I watch Dustin Poirier fight, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. His 5-on-in, the one loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Was it going to be retirement? Like, there were some negative things that came out of his own mouth after that fight. So he comes back, he beats Dan Hooker, he beats Conor McGregor, and now we're here. So I just kind of forget about the McGregor-ness. I look at that Dan Hooker fight. That fight was absolute madness. And listen, if this fight is anything like that fight, I can't wait.
Hey, this fight's going to be, I think this is going to be fight of the year. Mark it down right now. Whoever's keeping track at home, I think this will be your fight of the year. And I know we say this all the time, oh, we're not fans of guys. Like, Dustin Poirier, I remember watching Fightville in grade 9. I was there. No, I wasn't there. I wasn't in Louisiana. But I remember watching that movie when I was really young. And it was just wild to me that now he is now fighting for a UFC title. It's just a wild, just sort of life arc, I guess. Not even career arc, just to see how far he's come from being that, like, kind of chubby kid in Louisiana to be one of the best fighters in the world. I thought Clay Guida was going to beat Charles Oliveira, and I haven't picked against him since. And I feel like I deserve a little bit of credit for not being against him since, because I feel like we sort of have read the rise of Charles Oliveira in the right way. Like, we both thought he was going to beat Chandler. We both thought he was going to beat Tony Ferguson. If you've been watching and if you've been keeping track, like, Oliveira's always been this special talent. It always was just like, and you hate to say stuff like this, but it was the mindset, the confidence. Yeah, it was all the sort of mental aspects, and it was less about how good he was physically. And on this run that he's gone through, I know I brought this up about Cyril Gane a lot. It was, hey, I'll believe in him once I see him face adversity. Then he fought Alexander Volkov, got hit clean, and looked really good afterwards. So now I trust his ability to face adversity a lot more. Oliveira kind of did that in his last fight too. Gets hit by a bomb from Michael Chandler, goes down, pulls guard, fights in a really intelligent manner too, and I think that has to be said. He didn't just get hit and then kind of panic. He got hit, went to his back where he feels the most comfortable, and he knew, okay, if Michael Chandler is on top of me, it might not be the best position for me, but no one in the world is better at defending themselves from a position like that, or at least initiating a scramble, than Oliveira. So it just showed kind of that next level fight IQ, and this is something that gets thrown around a lot, but it is the truth for Oliveira. He's got that championship confidence now. Like, Charles Oliveira and Brandon Moreno, for some reason, the second they got their title, they were like, hey, I'm a pretty cool guy too, and it just sort of gave them the confidence to let their personality out a little bit more. And that's great to see from Oliveira, who always felt like a bit of an afterthought at featherweight and lightweight. It's really nice to see him finally get his dues.
Well, that's it. I mean, you look at Charles Oliveira on the street. I mean, he looks a little bit like Craig Allen. He's got the nerdy glasses on. Guy. You know, he looks kind of quiet, just whatever. Thin. The thing that I love to see about Oliveira, and the UFC focused on this for two fighters. They both happen to be Brazilian, but it happens all the time. When Deiveson Figueiredo became champion, it's Team Figueiredo. My brother's in the UFC. I'm bringing up all my training partners. I'm helping fund everybody. Oh, by the way, I cut hair and make sushi. I'm the most interesting man in the world. Charles Oliveira was the same thing when he was going to fight Michael Chandler. I'm making these big paydays. I've earned all these bonuses. Everybody in my team eats well. I really, really support my guys. I love to see that. Dustin Poirier is the same type of guy. With his foundation, with all the charitable work that he does, these guys are so it seems like two of the best guys in the UFC.
Yeah,
really.
This is a fight where you don't want either guy to lose. One guy has a massive charity where he tries to help kids, and the other guy, like, hands out turkeys in Brazil on Thanksgiving and whatnot. Like, these are great people, and that has to be said. Now, here's the bad part. I'm going to try to tell you who's going to win and who's going to lose. Dustin Poirier had a quote on the Ariel Helwani show a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was a really, really good point that he brought up. And this is, I've gone on so many side rants this episode. Poirier has been asked a lot of like, oh, you're the favorite in this, even though you're the challenger. Are you overlooking Charles Oliveira? For years now, Dustin Poirier has been saying that Charles Oliveira is one of the top guys in this division, and I think that does have to be said, because it's not like this is like, oh, now he's the champ, and this is a big surprise. Like, Poirier, it always feels like, has had his eye on Oliveira as, hey, if he can ever put it all together, he really will be a threat, and he's always given him a ton of credit in the media of like, hey, this is a guy who's got to the top, got himself beaten down, and then worked his way back up. And honestly, that means more than just like having a really smooth sail the whole way throughout your career. So I don't think Poirier is going to be overlooking Oliveira. But the quote that I want to get to is that Poirier said, fighting me for 25 minutes is a really, really hard thing to do. Like, he's hurting you with every shot he's throwing. He doesn't get tired. He's got a really good chin. There's just an accumulation of damage when you're fighting Dustin Poirier that you kind of have to account for. You will not be the same guy in round 5 that you were in round 1. You know how I know that? Because Max Holloway, the poster boy for I'm the same guy in round 1 as I am in round 5, had a really hard time eating the power of Poirier. And Holloway was able to get some of his own combinations off and was able to start getting some volume off. But when he would eat the power of Poirier, you could just tell that it was something different. And the thing about Dustin is that he doesn't just have big power or big speed. He's got great timing on the in-betweens. He likes to wait and counter-strike. And his boxing's probably the best in the UFC. I know he said it was Petr Yan's, but when you see the way he's able to throw his combinations and really go downhill with his combinations, it's tough to beat him. When he gets guys up against the cage, going body, going head, there's few people just in the UFC who can put the boxing combinations together like Poirier.
The thing that you love to see out of Poirier, too, the left-handed, right-handedness that he shows in the cage, which might sound silly, but you look at it. I mean, he's ambidextrous, but also he fights to the opposite of his strengths, which is really weird, but he's so good at it. The other thing about their stand-up, Dustin Poirier, a little bit more compact in his striking. Again, you mentioned it. He's good in the in-betweens. He's definitely great in the clinch. Charles Oliveira can do it in so many different ways, and that's what makes him so special. He's the Swiss Army knife of this division. Is he good with his takedown attempts? Yeah, he's pretty good at them. But if you take him down, he can submit you off his back. You do not want to play on the ground with Charles Oliveira. But on the feet, he's such a hard time. And the other thing is, you talk about great Muay Thai in this division. Oliveira might have the best. And again, now I'm starting to really nitpick because this guy's the champion. I mean, he deserves all the credit in the world.
Good.
Like, he is such a good fighter. And he didn't get to this. And somebody might tell you this, and you can take this to the party. This guy didn't get here by mistake.
No.
Again, he's an underdog. He fought, maybe not the best lightweights for a run, the Jared Gordons, the Nick Lentz, whatever.
He finished them, though.
He finished them, and he went on, what was it, a 6-fight finish streak? Like, it was absolutely amazing. Then he beats Tony Ferguson.
Almost submitted him in the first round, too.
Made him look human, and then he beats Michael Chandler, where he faces adversity in that first round, but in the second round, he roars right back. So again, Poirier opened a minus 165 favorite. He's still there. And for Oliveira, he opened a plus 135 favorite. We'll throw it on over to the Topology votes just to see where they're at. They're close enough. 850 total votes, 61% Poirier, 81% by knockout for the 39% that have Oliveira, 75% by submission. Again, for Dustin Poirier, last time he lost by submission was to Khabib. If you look at it for Charles Oliveira, the last time he lost by knockout was Paul Felder?
Paul Felder, yeah.
It was Paul Felder back in 2017. Both things are likely. This is going to be an amazing fight regardless.
This is a wild fight because Oliveira could win by knockout, submission, or decision, and Dustin Poirier could win by knockout, submission, or decision. Like, that's how good both of these guys are. And some people out there might be raising an eyebrow. Like, wait, Poirier could submit Oliveira? Yeah, Anthony Pettis did. And, like, Dustin Poirier is probably the one... It really sounds like I'm trying to pump up the tires of Poirier, but it's true. He's one of the more underrated grapplers in this division. I know a lot of
he did to Anthony Pettis.
Exactly. Look what he did to Dan Hooker, too. I know Hooker got submitted by Islam Makhachev, but, like, Poirier swept him with a go-go plata and then got into mount. That's, like, really, really high-level stuff that just, like, your average purple belt or brown belt couldn't do. Like, Conor McGregor wouldn't be able to do that against a guy like Dan Hooker, whereas Poirier can really mix in his jiu-jitsu and make it a threat in his fights. I'm going to bring up the training partner factor because I think this is an important one. Dustin Poirier and Mateusz Gamrot, they seem like they've been training together a lot in preparation for this, and I think I know why. Charles Oliveira goes for a lot of body lock takedowns and a lot of high single legs. what does Mateusz Gamrot do almost better than anybody?
Those and ankle picks.
Exactly, but he's somebody who's so good at wrestling and who is so good at that clinch wrestling, but also in a traditional sense that I think he is the perfect guy to get you ready for Oliveira's style of wrestling.
And the scary thing about it, too, you bring it up just for this fight, but since Mateusz Gamrot's made the move to ATT with Boris Mankowski, who's got a big title fight coming up with KSW, is... these guys have been linked since Gamrot got there. It wasn't just, we're getting ready for this Oliveira fight. We've been talking about Gamrot, since KSW, but since he's been in the UFC, we've linked Poirier and Gamrot.
But, think about how good their training sessions together would be. Plus, Jorge Masvidal's there. American top team, especially for their top-tier athletes, must be the best place in the world because you've got top 3, top 5 fighters from every single weight class who are all going to be helping each other every day. I just think... the Gamrot X Factor cannot be overlooked because he offers a very similar look to the wrestling that Oliveira will do. It's not like Poirier's just training with he's with Jordan Burroughs right now, who, yes...
Bone Nickel.
Yeah, whose wrestling on paper might look better, but it's the style in which they use their wrestling. And I really do think that Gamrot and Oliveira, in the way that they get their takedowns, are extremely similar. And that's going to be a huge factor in this fight. Last point. Poirier is the much more active guy on the in-betweens, and I think that's going to be the X factor for this fight. Oliveira is great when he does the big action. When he does drop you, he can finish you quick. When he does take you down, he can get to your back very fast, but he isn't the most active guy on the in-betweens. He will wait for the counter a little bit on the back foot. He'll kind of let the fight come to him until he feels comfortable, and then he'll start to let off with his own attacks. I think if you get behind against a guy like Poirier, it's going to be really hard to get any of that back, because... he doesn't have bad cardio, even though he's going to be huffing and puffing from the first 3 seconds of the fight. Again, patting myself on the back, because for some reason Joe Rogan's always like, he's breathing heavy, he's breathing heavy. But if you watch Poirier fights, he throws one combination, starts going and you get really nervous. But if you've watched enough of them, he's got great cardio. So, both guys come in by knockout, both guys come in by submission, both guys come in by decision. Who's your pick, Craig?
I like the defensive grappling of Dustin Poirier in this fight as the big X factor. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the Gamrot connection, but you're only going to sharpen your tool right there, especially if you have a guy like that in your corner. And listen, UFC 268 was UFC Trevor Whitman, if you want to call it that. I think UFC 269 is AEW's Dan Lambert. I just keep seeing that donkey all over Twitter.
Ponzinibbio trains there too. I forget, there's multiple fighters even on this card who are all going to be making the move together. So that's an even better sign.
We'll see what happens. But for me, I have Poirier in this fight. I think Oliveira's got a great shot. I can't wait for the fight companion on this one because, listen, I can continue to build this fight up, but I'm only going to get more excited as the week goes on. I've got Poirier in this one.
Charles Oliveira might be the scariest, non-intimidating man walking the face. It's like him and Ryan Hall. They just look like normal guys, but you know that if given the opportunity, they could tear you limb from limb. It would be really nice to see Charles Oliveira go on some kind of massive run, get Khabib out of retirement, then we get the 2 best grapplers in lightweight history against each other. That's never going to happen, but still.
Islam?
Even that fight, that'd be very good too. I just think the boxing and the overall takedown defense of Poirier is going to be a big X factor in this fight, and even if he doesn't get the knockout early in this matchup, he's still going to be able to land those big power shots in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round because he's shown the ability to do so in the past. He knocked out Justin Gaethje after a grueling fight in the 4th round. Charles Oliveira, he can finish you, but he really is that, okay, I'm either going to knock you out or submit you in the first 2, and then I'll try to out-technique you in the last 3. So I like Poirier in this, but this is as good of a title fight as we've ever got in the UFC.
Both of us going with Dustin Poirier in your main event. If you missed any of the videos, make sure you go back and check them out. You already know the scoop with Fight Night picks. If any fight drops out or if any are added throughout the week, we will update you as soon as we possibly can. We have question mark kicks 2 hours before the prelims with a fight companion going live as soon as that main card kicks off. You want to join it, have some fun, have your say in the comments section, and let us know who you have on this card as well. Fill it up, because we have a big time end to this year. Your prediction MVP is going to be decided in this month, and it's a very, very tight race. You're not going to want to miss any of it, so keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.